This is Georgia. Before she met me, she had a normal life, no car stress, and money. Now, however, I've dragged her into the car world, so much so she has her own project car, a Mark 7 Toyota Celica, which we're in the process of 2ZZ engine swapping. With the Celica off the road, it seemed logical for Georgia to impulse buy another car she didn't need. I mean, who am I to question her? So, what was the controversial car she's gone for? So first of all, what is it? If you're younger than me, which isn't difficult these days, you may not even know what this is. This is a 1997 Hyundai Coupe RD1, meaning it's the Mark 1, so the first ever Hyundai Coupe. A very, very popular car back in the day, but one that a lot of people mocked, basically calling it not a real sports car. And I think they're just misunderstood, and as time goes on, I think they're just getting cooler and cooler. Now, what's the reason that Georgia bought it? She has Ford Fiesta as a daily. She's bought her Celica as a big project car. So she wanted something to we could just jump in the weekend as we have today, take the cool cars out, turnkey and go and talk about an impulse. She found the listing like on the Friday evening, and then on Saturday she just said to me, I've messaged the guy, we're going to go and view it. And the seller, a genuine guy once again. This car has been very loved. Let's talk about the car in general, and then we'll talk about this one specifically. Now, back in the day, I always thought I was umming and ahhing about the styling, and I used to prefer the Mark II over the Mark 1 or the RD2 over the RD1. But as time's gone on now, I do genuinely prefer this generation. The headlights, it's like a cross between like an EG that's sort of melted a little bit, which I'm obviously a fan of. Like I said, the styling on these was always known as a bit quirky and weird, and Georgia obviously likes that because the Celica that she also owns, they're also known to be quite controversial styling wise. But I love it's got a very 90s coupe silhouette, which I really like, and it almost comes to a point at the front there, which makes it look very distinctive. On the front end, I've only just noticed now, it's quite a long overhang. We have got fog lights, which is a very nice touch. Projector lenses, this must have been pretty high tech in 1997. So yeah, I'm going to stick to the styling in general. Like I said, 90s coupe shape, and with the fold up sunroof just there. Electric sunroof does look really cool, and I love, again, you probably won't notice it, but when you get up close, you can see the swage lines giving it some real muscles, I would say, going down the side. Although these, I thought they were 15s at first. I thought they looked a bit small. These 14-inch wheels really don't do anything for the muscular stance. But don't worry, she's already got an eye on a set of wheels and tyres, because they're 185s, which is a bit crazy for a sporty car. But the swage lines, wow, that was a big bang then. Swage lines continue all the way to the rear, very curvy shape. And like I said, the hips on that are pretty cool. Coming back to the rear lights, again, I love, like if you look at my Civic there, red and clears were like a very in thing in the 90s, and I think it looks really good, makes the car look really clean. Moving up to the spoiler then, as I said with the Celica, of course it's a bad car. Mark 1 Leon Coupe, that's actually pretty cool, I do like those. See if it makes a bang coming up here. Yes. As I said with the Celica, these do look a bit naked without a wing, very curvy, but to me look naked. So the factory spoiler just there really finishes the back end off, down to the twin tailpipes just there. So love or hate these. I want to know what you guys think of this, because we've asked so many people, and already we've genuinely had mixed opinions of, oh wow, haven't seen one of them for years, or they used to be crap, no one liked them, and now they're cool because of how they're aging. So let me know what you think of them. And if you've ever owned them, or ever known that anyone that's owned them, and what their experience was. So onto this car specifically, this has been loved. The colour was the one that I think was the main thing that drew Georgia to it. I will have to find out. I don't think this camera... It was a very sunny day, and as soon as I started filming, as soon as we got to location, the sun's gone away. When the sun hits it, it's like a very, very deep sort of moss green, and a slightly different shade to the Civic, but they do look really good together. It's not perfect. Obviously, it's a... Crikey, how old is this now? Getting on to 30 years old, but it presents really well, and the amount of attention it gets is nuts. So from what we can tell, it's a completely factory exhaust, but it does sound quite funky. Have a listen to this Ignis now. Sounds like a Scooby, it's brilliant. That sounds... That sounds wicked. The next question you might have is, what's powering it? And the first question we tend to get when we show people the car or tell people about the car is it the V6 variant? It's not a V6, but I'm not too bothered. Now, the V6s didn't come on until the later models, but they're 2.7 V6s with around 170 horsepower, and no doubt they're known to have their issues. They will have a lot more torque than the 4 cylinders, but these are just a lot more simple, a lot cheaper to maintain. And for Georgia, that was one of the main selling points. Now this, people may mock it, is the 1.6. They did a 1.6, a 1.8 and a 2 litre, I believe, in this generation. Georgia really doesn't care about speed. With this car, she wanted something that looks good and sounds good, and it's just reliable. So 1.6 4-cylinder, it is a twin cam, and the noise, because of that thing, going on to the modifications, this is one of 2 modifications that we know of. A cone air filter, we have got the factory airbox in the boot, which is a nice touch, but this really does make a funky noise. I love cone filters because it makes it sound faster than it actually is. From the factory, these were 111 brake horsepower and 105 foot-pound of torque, or 142 newton meters, which gave it a claimed 0 to 60 time of 10.8 seconds, which, okay, by today's standards is not fast at all. But back then, I mean, it's a 1.6, it's about what they were doing. Top speed, they reckon, was 120 mile an hour. And the weight was 1,200 kilos, which is not exactly a heavy car. And because of that little rev-happy engine, it does make it quite peppy. So before we jump out on the road, let's have a quick look inside, because the interior is pretty funky as well, very 90s. And as we step in, the first thing you'll notice, and the first thing I noticed, which was crazy, these sort of, it's like a woven effect seats in incredible condition. We haven't had a chance to clean it. This is the first time the car has been out properly. So we haven't even had a chance to clean the outside or the inside, but we've got the funky seats just there. Before we get in the front, let's see if we can squeeze in the back. I genuinely haven't been in the back. So simply pull the lever there. Now that is in the position I would have it. So this is going to be interesting. Ooh. Well, it's definitely snug. The rear seats do have a bit of a bucket to them, so you fall into them, which does helps with headroom, doesn't make it perfect. But again, these cars were never designed to be hauling the family around, but as like a quick journey, if you wanted to take a few people and go for a fun drive, you certainly could. Well, I say that. Let's see. Okay, I'm not tall. I'm like 5'9" or 5'10", so it is a bit snug. But I've been in enough 90s coupes to just appreciate it, and I love you can just look up there and you're basically looking out the window. Not much to say in the rear, as you might expect, but we have got speakers in the rear. Parcel shelf just there, and the little hooky things, which I now know how to hook the seatbelts around when you're putting the seats down, because the seats do fold completely flat, giving you a lot more storage space. And if you think the length from here to the end of the car, it can be quite a practical car. Electric sunroof just there, which does work. I can look like a right weirdo just climbing in and out at the back of the car. Oof. And I'm on my own because George just sat in the Civic over there. That's always bugged me with 90s cars. So you put your seat in the one position, and then that's it then, you've got to sit upright. You've got to find your position again. But hey, that's me being picky. The other modification, I said it's 2 of 2 modifications, is the steering wheel just there. I wasn't a fan at first, but actually the positioning of it and obviously the suede effect, it does actually really work. And the seller did give us the original one in the boot. And the only couple of issues I will run through with the car, one of them, only a stupid one, the upper cowl in there just wasn't there, but George just found one online already. I did say to her, the problem is with, it's crazy, of our fleet, this is probably the rarest car we've got, but with that comes difficulty in finding parts, which we're already discovering. So the other issue, I don't know if you'll be able to tell from there, but the linkages are, there is absolutely no positivity of it going into gear. Now the one on my Civic's a bit floppy, but it clicks going into gear. This is just like stirring soup. So that is an issue. Obviously there's a linkage issue somewhere. You can still drive it, but it's just, it takes away that fun feeling of, obviously when you're driving a sporty car, you want to, smash through the gears. Or at least I do. And the only other issue are spongy brakes, which again, they work, but when you're driving a fun car, could just be bleeding, but we haven't had a chance to look into that yet. That's neither here nor there. They do work. The dash design is quite funky, and I like how it sort of swoops down there. We've got your 2 quite prominent vents there, and the other vents, which you normally see in a car sort of by there, they're actually joined into the door, as you can see there, which is crazy. It just follows through there. And the good thing is, when you're driving along, you can literally have the hot or the cold blowing onto your arm there. So it's actually a really good design. The door, everything's just bulgy, everything's curvy. Even the door handle there has got a bit of a bulge in it there. Power windows, and you can even lock the window there. So if your passenger is really annoying, you can just lock the window just there. It has got central locking. Moving around there. Oh, I lie. Third modification is the stereo just there, just with Bluetooth, things like that. I think we will get another one because this is a bit dated, but again, it works. Cigarette lighter just in there. I'm sure in the higher models, I'm sure we can retrofit their cup holders just there. Gears, as we've gone through. Funky little remote for the stereo. Handbrake just there. Lack of armrest in this, which is a bit of a shame, but you're sat so low anyway, it's not the end of the world. So, it's quite a nice place to be, and it's for such a small car, it's quite spacious and airy in here. Oh, sunglasses holder. Georgia loves those sunglasses. As I said, electric sunroof just there, and the map lights, things like that. Almost forgot. We might as well have a look in the boot, because like I said, for a coupe, it's actually very practical. Now granted, as I said, we haven't even had a chance to empty this car yet, but the rear seats do fold down. I've got some camera stuff in here, so it is quite practical. I think that's about it for the walk around. Let's see how it actually drives, shall we? I almost forgot to say, this is how you know a car's been loved. It's got not only the original leather handbook just there, but it's actually got the workshop manuals. We've got volume 1, volume 2, electrical troubleshoot, and I really hope we don't need to use that. But a very nice touch. I love things like that. So one thing I noticed straight away, the clutch, everything is just easy. This is a very popular road in case you haven't guessed. Everything is just so easy. The throttle is nice and responsive. The engine sounds so smooth, apart from the, when you've got to stir the porridge a bit here. The clutch bite is very easy to find. The throttle, like I said, is very responsive, but not too snappy. So what we're going to do now, oh, see, you do get to see cool cars like that as well. But driving normal, because it's on standard suspension and those little tiny biscuit wheels with the big sidewall, it is comfy. It's a bit, obviously it's no modern BMW, but for what it is, a little sporty coupe from the 90s, it's actually quite comfy, and you could easily do a long journey. It still is quite, not bouncy, but like maybe a bit jarring. It could be a bit smoother, but then, like I said, it's a sporty car. But George has driven all the way up here now. We've been on the road about an hour, and she's already said she loves it. And there's just there's no squeaks, there's no rattles. Everything does feel pretty solid, in fairness. So the position of the steering wheel is actually quite nice, because as they say with race cars, your seating position should be you should be able to stretch your arm out and your wrist should be touching the steering wheel. So actually, for my seating position, the steering wheel is great. Look at that. Look what I've got to do. You really got to search for the gear. So that's one issue we're obviously going to address. But looking at these dials now, they are so clear. I'm really not a fan of the really modern where everything's a screen. You don't know what the hell's going on because they're trying to throw every single bit of information at you. In this car, we've got rev counter, speedo, fuel, and your coolant temperature, which is exactly what you want. We have got the airbag light on because of this, which we will be sorting soon. But when you're driving a car like this, like I said, even onto the features of the inside, we've got heat, where you want the heat, and how fast you want the heat. What more do you want when you're going out for a drive just to drive a car? And the seating position, because it is, again, a sporty car, you really do get a sporty feel. And I think for the money you can get these for, like the whole driving experience, even when you're driving in normal, you know, for us normal folks who can't afford a Lamborghini and things like that, it gives you a good taste of what sports car life is like. Let's feel what 111 brake horsepower feels like from the 90s. Bear in mind we are going up a mountain, but the pickup's actually quite good, and the noise coming from that cone air filter just makes the experience so much better. One thing I did notice with this, now with lower horsepower cars, gearing plays a massive part, because gearing can make the same horsepower car even quicker. And I actually feel that this car is quite well geared. They're quite short, which means up top, when you're cruising at 70, the revs are quite high. But when you're going for it, it means you can really smash through those gears. And it revs to 6.5, absolutely screaming. And like I said, it drops like a thousand revs, so it still feels like you're going very, very quick. The heel and toe is pretty good. The positioning on the pedals, the only thing at the moment is not great for heel and toe is the gear stick just there. Now, throwing it into a corner, my cars, because they're not the fastest, I've concentrated heavily on handling, so I am used to darty turn-ins, fantastic handling. This obviously does lack that because it's on factory suspension. We have no idea how old the suspension is. The tyres, we are on budget tyres, but if you could see my face, you'll know I can't stop smiling. And this is going uphill in a low horsepower car. It's such, we use the term a lot, rev happy. This is a very rev happy engine, and I can't believe I'm saying this. My Civic's got a 5-speed up there, but the gearing on this is so much nicer. And what I mean by that is you are just in the power band, just more. It doesn't drop too much in the revs. If you look almost at the red line, it just drops enough that you're still smashing on the power band. What a fun little car, and considering this is the slowest variant you can get, like I said, for Georgia, this video is not necessarily a review of this car, even though that's kind of what it's turned into. This is a car for Georgia, and like I said, she does not care about speed. She likes to have a bit of fun in the car, so that's why we're going to go for better handling mods, but horsepower she's really not bothered with. And for her, and have something just like, if you want a quirky little car to take out on the weekend, you can get these for less than £1,000. We paid way less than £1,000 for this car with a brand new MOT, and we are out on these beautiful mountain roads just putting a smile on my face. I do think the chassis has potential, but paired with the 14-inch wheels and spongy tyres at the moment, it doesn't inspire much confidence when turning into corners. Nothing that can't be rectified with some simple modifications. In fact, as I'm editing this, Georgia has actually ordered new wheels and tyres which arrived today. In the next video, the wheel reveal, we'll run through what the car has cost Georgia and what the running costs are. For now, thank you so much for watching, guys. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. We will see you in the next one.